An interesting blind spot that leaders forget to pay attention to is really their own growth. And a lot of times, as an executive, as a business owner, as the leader of a company or a leader in a company, we kind of get to the top of the food chain, even though we want to be on the bottom, bottom up leadership. Even if we're wanting to do that, the reality is, as a leader, you're very focused on others. You're focused on your team, you're focused on clients, you're focused on the projects, you're focused on where the company is going, you're focused on your budget, you're focused on your strategic plan, you're focused on what's happening and what's not happening, and you're focused on things that are getting in the way and solving those problems. And by the time you're done doing all those things, there is not a lot of time, and there's nobody saying, hey, how do you need to grow? Where do you have a blind spot that is getting in your way? And it's a very progressive and important leadership attribute to be able to stop and take a look at yourself and understand, what is my blind spot and where do I need to be growing? Because as a leader, you're constantly growing. Even if you are, some people will say, if you have a problem, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's that type of thing. So if you're the smartest person in the room in your company and you're leading everybody else, you're going to soon become a lid because everybody else is growing and you're not. So when leaders accidentally become a lid because they haven't been focusing on where they need to grow, they haven't been reflecting, how am I maybe getting in my own way? How do I need to level myself up? When we're not asking those questions, our team begins to grow past us and our company and challenges begin to grow past us. And suddenly we sink lower in our growth because we're so focused solving problems externally, we're not actually fueling our leadership from the inside. And the best leaders are fueled from the inside with confidence and focus and just understanding what are their strengths and minimizing their weaknesses and their blind spots. So in order for leaders to do this, coaching is a really great avenue for them to be going through all of those things we just talked about. But a coach is in a unique position to help the leader to understand how they may be a barrier or having a blind spot in a situation. Sometimes we are trying to solve the problem and we're not curious. Sometimes we're lacking compassion and we're so frustrated that our team just isn't getting it or they're not doing their job. And suddenly we've lost compassion because we feel pressures financially and we no longer have eyes of compassion for our team. Sometimes we've slipped into a scarcity mindset and we're seeing everything that's wrong instead of all the possibilities. Sometimes we lose our ability to look out to the future and we're just looking to the past and the present, and we get caught in a reaction mode and we're not looking to how to be proactive. These are all examples of blind spots that leaders can have when you're not constantly doing self-reflection. And it's not doing self-reflection to be like, oh, what's wrong with me? That's not why you're doing it. You're looking because you're saying, where do I need to grow this month? Where am I being a lid for my team? And that's a great question to ask your team. You can ask your team. Patrick Lencioni, recently I heard him speaking, and he was talking about how he had asked the CEO that he was working with. They had done a big 360 survey for the leader, and he got feedback, and the feedback was that the leader wasn't very open to feedback. And so the leader comes into the meeting and he says, so I've read my report and it appears you all feel that I'm not very open to feedback. And everybody sat there kind of embarrassed and felt very called out because they knew this upset the leader. And he said, who said that? Who said that I'm not open to feedback anyway? And then slowly one leader says, well, I think that maybe they meant that sometimes you have a hard time hearing ideas, but I'm sure they didn't really mean it because you're a great leader and you really do hear our ideas. And he goes, thanks, Bob. That's what I thought. And then they moved on. So, what just happened in that situation? Even sometimes when leaders ask for feedback, our egos have a hard time hearing that feedback. And we can shut it down as we seek to understand, oh my goodness, how in the world does anyone think about that? Think that about me. And then we go to get more information and we actually say, it's not okay for you to say that about me. I feel criticized. How could you say that about me? And we shut down the feedback, and then we don't actually grow through it. So, an opportunity in coaching, A, one, we do want to ask our team. B, when your team gives you feedback, you want to hear it. Thank you for that feedback. I'd like to understand where I'm doing that so I can level up and do it better. C, coaching is a great place to bring that and say, listen, here's what I'm hearing from my team. I'm not so great at taking feedback. How do you see that? How can I improve on that? Where can I grow so that I'm better at taking feedback? So maybe in coaching, we design skills around curiosity, or we go on a quest of how to ask great, curious questions for you when you're working with your team. Maybe there's some books that would help to level up, and then not just reading the book. A lot of times leaders read books and they apply very little from the book. The key is reading the book, bringing it back into coaching and say, here's what I read. Here was my takeaways. Here's what I'm learning from that book. And here's what I'm going to practice in the next week. When we apply what we're learning, we level up that skill. And so coaching becomes a platform to help identify, where am I getting in my own way? Where am I being a lid? Where do I need to grow for the sake of myself, my team, and my organization and those we serve? So when you are leveling up as a leader, everybody else levels up. It's one of the most exciting things about working with leaders and coaching is that when you grow, everybody else grows and the rest of the world is better. You can either be a lid down here, or you can keep raising the lid, raising the bar of your growth, your understanding, a humble instead of an egotistical view, so that you are leading forward and everybody else rises up too. It's very exciting when you take that and own your growth.